What if we told you one of the world's most talked about prisons looks more like a boutique hotel than a correctional facility? Welcome to Leoben Prison in Austria, a place where glass walls, private rooms, and personal dignity redefine what it means to serve time. In this video, we're diving inside the facility that's been called the five-star prison, exploring how it works, why it was built this way, and what the world really thinks about it. Stick around. You'll be surprised at what's behind these doors. Like what you see? Hit subscribe for more stories that challenge how we see justice. Leoben Prison sits quietly in the Austrian countryside, surrounded by green hills and fresh air, looking nothing like the image most people have of a prison. Instead of high concrete walls topped with barbed wire, there are glass surfaces, sleek lines, and open courtyards. It looks more like a college campus or a modern apartment building than a correctional facility. But this design wasn't a mistake. It was intentional from the start. When Austrian architect Josef Hohensen was hired to create the prison, the government gave him a clear challenge: build a space that reflects the idea that people are sent to prison as punishment, not for punishment. That single concept shaped everything about how Leoben was built. Hohensen's vision was rooted in a belief that the physical environment plays a key role in how people behave. If you cram people into dark, dirty, overcrowded spaces and treat them like animals, it's no surprise when they come out more damaged than when they went in. But what if you gave inmates light, space, and dignity? What if they had a place that didn't crush their sense of self, but gave them the chance to reflect and rebuild? That idea wasn't just lofty talk. It became the blueprint for Leoben Prison. The building opened in 2005, and its appearance immediately turned heads. From the outside, you see clean lines, pale wood, brushed metal, and large glass panes. The glass isn't just for show, it's a statement. Transparency matters. When you walk through the facility, you can see through many of the walls. There are fewer places to hide, but also fewer reasons to feel trapped. The spaces feel open and calm. The ceilings are high. Natural light pours into nearly every corner. There's even art on the walls. The idea is to create a space that feels more human, more normal, and less like the cold, gray boxes most people associate with prison. Hohensen didn't just focus on appearances, he focused on function. Every space in Leoben serves a purpose, and none of it is about intimidation. The layout is clean and organized, with housing units arranged like small apartment blocks. Instead of long hallways lined with metal bars, you'll find corridors that look more like dormitories. There's even a common area in each unit where inmates can cook, eat, and talk. There's no cafeteria with plastic trays and steel benches, just kitchens, counters, and tables like you'd find in a family home. One of the most noticeable differences is the individual cells. Calling them cells feels wrong, because they don't look like jail cells at all. Each one is a private room with a bed, desk, chair, bookshelf, and even a personal bathroom with a shower. There's a window, not a slit in the wall, but a full window that lets in daylight and opens to fresh air. The floors are wood. The walls are painted in soft, neutral colors. There's a sense of privacy and personal space that would be unthinkable in most prisons. All of this reflects a deeper philosophy that shapes Austrian criminal justice. In Austria, prison isn't meant to break people. It's meant to hold them accountable while giving them a chance to change. That change doesn't happen in a vacuum. It needs the right conditions: time, support, and most importantly, an environment that doesn't treat people like lost causes. Leoben was designed to be that environment. The building itself sends a message to every person who walks through its doors. You're still a person. You still matter. You still have a future. This message is even carved into the prison's outer walls. Two quotes are etched into the glass. One reads, "All human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights." The other says, "Everyone has the right to liberty and security of person." These are not just decorative phrases, they're part of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Their placement on the outside of a prison is deliberate, and to some, controversial. But to Johansson and the people who run Leoben, they're a reminder that even those who have broken the law are still human beings with rights and value. Designing a prison this way isn't cheap. The materials are high quality, and the focus on individual space means fewer inmates per building. But Austria decided the long-term benefits were worth it. They weren't just building a place to store criminals. They were building a system that might prevent people from coming back once they got out. The design encourages responsibility. When people are treated with respect, they're more likely to act respectfully. When they're given privacy, they learn to respect boundaries. When they have space to think, they can start to understand the harm they've caused and maybe do something to make it right. Of course, not everyone agrees with this approach. Critics say it's too soft, that it makes prison too comfortable. But supporters argue that punishment isn't about pain, it's about justice. Losing your freedom is the punishment. Once that's in place, the rest should be about rebuilding, not tearing down. In that light, Leoben isn't a luxury. It's a different kind of investment. One that bets on people's ability to change when they're given the right tools, starting with the walls around them. In the end, what makes Leoben Prison unique isn't just its clean lines and modern design. It's the belief that architecture can shape behavior, that dignity can inspire change, and that even a prison can be a place of hope instead of despair. Everything about Leoben, from its layout to its materials, was built around those ideas. It's not just a building. It's a statement about what justice can look like when it's focused on the future, not just the past. Life inside Leoben Prison doesn't feel like life behind bars, at least not in the way most people would expect. The daily routine for inmates is structured, but far from oppressive. It's more like a tight schedule at a small residential college than the kind of strict, cold environment people usually picture when they think of prison. The goal isn't to break down inmates through control or monotony. It's to guide them toward a more responsible, self-sufficient life. That's reflected in almost every part of how things run day to day. When an inmate wakes up in the morning, they do so in a private room. It's not called a cell here, and for good reason. The space is designed to feel like a small studio apartment. Each person has their own bed, a small desk, a closet, shelves for personal items, and even a private bathroom with a shower. There's no gray cinder block, no metal toilet in the corner, no flickering fluorescent lights. The floors are made of wood. There's a window that opens and lets in real sunlight. And it's not just about comfort, it's about creating a space that allows for reflection, quiet, and some sense of control. Once they're up, inmates prepare their own breakfast. There's no loud cafeteria line or guards shouting orders. Each housing unit has a kitchen area that resembles something you'd find in an average apartment. Inmates shop from a basic grocery budget, picking what they want to eat, then cooking it themselves. It's simple food, but they make choices, they handle the chores. Cleaning is their responsibility too. Nobody comes in to scrub the place down. That's all part of the system. Earning responsibility by being responsible. After breakfast, the day really begins. Inmates are expected to either work or attend classes. There's a variety of workshops where they can learn practical skills. Some choose carpentry or metalwork. Others work in the laundry or help maintain parts of the facility. The jobs aren't meaningless busy work. They're tied to real-life tasks that serve the prison community or prepare inmates for a trade after they're released. The same goes for the educational programs. There are language courses, math classes, computer training, even opportunities to study for higher-level qualifications. Inmates who want to continue their education are supported, not blocked by red tape or dismissive attitudes. The whole system is designed to mimic a productive life on the outside. There's a schedule to follow, and inmates are expected to show up on time and take it seriously. That structure gives people a rhythm to their day. It helps reduce tension and boredom, two things that often lead to violence in traditional prisons. At Loban, inmates stay active, and they stay focused. That doesn't mean everyone's always eager or cheerful, but there's purpose to what they do. There's a point to it all, and that changes how people behave. Recreation is also built into the daily routine. After their work or classes, inmates have access to a gym, an outdoor sports court, and indoor recreation spaces. Physical activity isn't just for health. It's another way to build discipline and structure. There are team games, individual workouts, and even yoga classes. The goal is to give inmates healthy ways to manage stress and use their energy. There's also a library stocked with books on a wide range of topics. Inmates can check out novels, learn about world history, or just pass the time with something thoughtful instead of staring at a wall. Social interaction is encouraged, but it's not forced. Inmates can spend time in shared lounges or common areas. They can cook and eat meals together or sit and talk. These aren't guarded, tense spaces. They feel more like break rooms or student centers. There's still supervision, but the atmosphere is calm. There's room to be alone if someone needs space, but there's also room to connect, build friendships, and talk through the kinds of personal issues that might have led someone there in the first place. One of the most striking things is how much trust is built into the system. Inmates are issued keys to their rooms. That's not a typo. They hold their own keys. If they want to lock the door and have privacy, they can. It sounds radical, but it's part of the broader philosophy that trust leads to responsibility. Treat people like adults, and they're more likely to act like adults. Not everyone gets that level of trust right away, but for those who earn it, it's a powerful step toward rebuilding a sense of control over their lives. The staff at Loban aren't just guards. They're more like mentors or supervisors. They keep things safe, but they're also trained to communicate, to de-escalate, to understand what's going on in a person's head. The relationship between staff and inmates is more balanced than adversarial. Conversations happen. People are treated with respect. That doesn't mean rules are ignored. Far from it. Rules are clear and expectations are high, but they're enforced with consistency, not aggression. Phone calls and visits are part of the regular rhythm too. Inmates can stay in touch with their families, which plays a huge role in keeping them grounded. Visits happen in open, welcoming spaces. No glass barriers, no tense supervision unless there's a specific concern. Maintaining family bonds is considered essential to rehabilitation, not a privilege to be earned. At the end of the day, inmates return to their rooms. Some cook dinner together. Others read, write, or just relax. The facility stays quiet. It doesn't feel chaotic or threatening. There's no shouting echoing through the halls, no slamming of heavy doors. That quiet matters. It gives people the space to think, to calm down, to slowly figure out what they want to do differently when they get out. Loban isn't a free pass. It's still a prison. People are there because they broke the law, but the difference is in how they're treated while they serve their time. The daily routine at Loban is designed to prepare inmates for life outside, not just to make them suffer while they're inside. It's a system that bets on people's ability to change, and it uses every hour of the day to help them do exactly that. When images of Loban Prison first started circulating online, people around the world couldn't believe what they were seeing. There were photos of sleek hallways, bright rooms with private bathrooms, inmates cooking in shared kitchens, and open recreational spaces that looked more like something out of a college brochure than a correctional facility. It didn't take long for the internet to give Loban a nickname that stuck: the 5-star prison. The label was meant to be sarcastic at first, a way of highlighting how soft it seemed compared to the grim, overcrowded prisons in most other countries. But that nickname ended up drawing far more attention to Loban than anyone in Austria probably expected. Inside the country, public reaction to the facility has always been a mix of pride and discomfort. Some Austrians view it as a bold step forward, a physical symbol of a justice system that believes in giving people second chances. To them, Loban represents something humane and hopeful. It shows that the state doesn't have to treat every person behind bars as permanently broken or dangerous. But others don't see it that way at all. They believe the prison goes too far in prioritizing comfort and dignity for people who have committed serious crimes. To them, the polished rooms and modern design feel less like justice and more like a reward. That tension has sparked more than a few debates in Austria. Some critics argue that the facility sends the wrong message to victims. If someone hurts another person, they say, they shouldn't get to spend their sentence in a place that looks like a wellness retreat. They worry that focusing too much on the inmate's experience takes attention away from the damage they caused. These arguments don't come from just one political side either. People across the spectrum have raised questions about whether Loban is too generous, too idealistic, or simply too out of touch with how most people view criminal justice. But while the local debate continues, Loban's reputation outside Austria has taken on a life of its own. Around the world, criminal justice experts, journalists, and curious travelers have studied the prison to understand what it says about how societies should handle punishment. For reform advocates, Loban is often held up as proof that incarceration doesn't have to be cruel to be effective. It shows that treating people with basic respect doesn't mean letting them off the hook. It just means believing they're still capable of change. Reformers in places like Norway, the Netherlands, and even parts of Canada have pointed to Loban as an example of what's possible when the focus shifts from control to rehabilitation. In the United States, reactions have been more divided. Some politicians and media figures have scoffed at Loban, calling it a hotel for criminals. They argue that such a model would never work in a country dealing with gang violence, mass incarceration, and serious security challenges. Others, though, have taken the time to look deeper. They see something worth studying, even if the model can't be copied exactly. For them, Loban is a reminder that prison doesn't have to be a place that grinds people down. It can be a place that offers a path forward, especially for those serving shorter sentences or trying to return to life on the outside. The prison has even sparked interest in academic circles and design communities. Architects, sociologists, and urban planners have written papers and given talks about the role environment plays in shaping human behavior. The way Loban blends architecture with ethics has made it more than just a prison. It's become a symbol in conversations about how the spaces we build reflect what we value. The use of glass, natural light, open space, and even art isn't just for show. It reflects a belief that the surroundings we live in can either support growth or crush it. At the same time, the global attention hasn't always been welcomed by Austrians. Some locals feel the media coverage turns their justice system into a curiosity, ignoring the country's broader efforts to balance safety and rehabilitation. Others think the 5-star label misses the point entirely. After all, Loban isn't some luxury resort. It's still a prison. Freedom is still taken away. Inmates are still held accountable. But when people reduce it to headlines and hashtags, the nuance gets lost. There's also the question of whether Loban is unique or part of a larger trend. Austria has several other modern facilities that follow similar principles. but none have received the kind of spotlight that Loban has. That's partly due to timing. Photos of Loban started going viral just as social media was exploding, making it one of the first prisons to go global purely because of its design. Since then, it's become a kind of shorthand for debates about criminal justice reform, often used by people who've never visited it or studied how it actually works. For all the noise, what Loban really reflects is a deep divide in how people think about punishment. Some believe prison should hurt, others believe it should heal. Loban doesn't pretend to have all the answers. It's just one facility, built on a very specific set of ideas. But it's sparked conversations all over the world about dignity, justice, safety, and whether giving someone a decent place to live while they serve their time is a step too far or the only way forward. That conversation, more than the building itself, is what makes Loban so powerful. Loban Prison isn't just a building, it's a bold idea in concrete and glass. Whether you see it as progressive justice or a step too far, one thing's clear. It forces us to question what prison should be. Can respect and structure lead to real change, or is this just a well-decorated illusion? You decide. If this story made you think twice about punishment and rehabilitation, there's more where that came from. Subscribe for more real stories that go deeper than the headlines.